Hey world, hey baby grand, welcome to your future. Today is yesterday's tomorrow, so here we are. And I know that you're excited about being here because I am. Well, you heard a couple different audiences in my introduction because I am in a little bit of a recoup mode, so I'm putting this one in a combination. And I had my 21 day uploaded, but I can't get it to upload. So I'm just going to give you some highlights from 21. But today is 22. And we already know that since we're in the 8th month of the year 2024, the digits add up to 8 on both sides. So 8-month, 8th year. And then we have days 1 through 31 through the middle. And what I have been providing is an opportunity for you to make a sandwich. Make a lunch every day with 2 pieces of bread on the end and then having some manna meat in the middle that is majestical, that is marvelous, that is medicinal, making you the best person you can be throughout this month. Now that we are in these double completed cycle stages, because 20 is a number that represents a double loop closed. So it gets very easy for those who purport an 8 to take those 2 closed circles and make them infinity, but that's really not how we're supposed to deal with the double 10s. The double 10s are 2 distinct completions of circles. So you have completed an entire circle of things. You've gone through the torment of it, so enjoy the triumph of it. In fact, you've done it 2 times already this month. And with today being the 22nd, I told you that with these 2 bookend pieces of bread, get any kind of bread you want, don't care, focaccia, cinnamon raisin, ciabatta, Hawaiian, water bread, cornbread, white bread, wheat bread, rye bread, I don't care. They don't have to be the same on the front and the back. But in order to create a sandwich of behaviors that will allow us some substantive change by the time we get to September, because it's still going to be the 8th year, even though we're going to be able to go through 4 months, except for October when we're going to shift into Yom Kippur. Fascinating, because we're going into 5785. Can't wait to talk to you about that. But today is August 22nd, 2024. So you have an 8-month, you have an 8-year, and a 22nd day. So we have 2 10s, and I still want you to acknowledge completion. On your first piece of bread, I want you to spread what you've done the best during this 21 days in becoming more aware of you. What can you spread that beginning new? Remember, the first piece of bread is beginning new. The last piece of bread is new beginning. And the middle is the meat manna. We begin new because we are talking about having today being yesterday's tomorrow, which it is. Therefore, we begin new. And everything that we're doing thrusts us into this new beginning. So we're also going to be in that new beginning phase. So it's on both sides, but it's different. We begin new so we can have new beginnings. And then we put some meat in the middle. So with the 2 10s, those 2 circles, the first one, I want you to spread whatever bread you have, spread it with 2 things you've accomplished in the self-awareness space during these first 22 days. What have you accomplished? What 2 things have you accomplished? And that's what you're going to spread on your first piece of bread. On your second piece of bread, you're going to spread the 2 things you needed God the most for. What have you needed God the most for in that second ring of 10? So that second completed circle. So we're getting credit for the 2 circles on both sides of bread. What are the 2 things that you need to celebrate because you have done a great banner job with those 2 things that have improved your self-awareness? And then also, what are those 2 things that God has done for you over the past 21 to today, 22 days that really stand out? And then because it's the 22nd, I want your meat to be 2 things that you want to work on changing during this next 21-day period of time, which means that's going to take us into September. So this is something that you need to think about because it's not an instant win. Today, we're going to cement it down so that when we get into September, you will remember when you made this sandwich on August 22nd. Remember, put in the comments the type of sandwich you're making every day, because we're going to have a cookbook from around the world on how you successfully get through a month with you, your Creator, and the rest of His creation. Not only get through it, but come out on top. So not only that, in 9 years, it's going to be 2033, and that's going to be 8 again. So this is going to be something like a time capsule that we are giving the future, even though we know that if we're here today, we're in the future, because today is yesterday's tomorrow, and today was the future. So since we're here, I don't know, when is the future? Right now. So what are you putting off today to do today? Because whenever you do what it is you're going to do, it's going to be today when it's done. I love you all. Thank you for putting up with me and my numeric humor in the midst of being very adamant about being a numerologist, Scientologist of the Creator. None of that being denominational at all, being a gifting. And I'm so humbled and grateful for that within the fivefold ministries, wherever the Lord decides to use me. So 22, you see we got this double decision, and 2 and 2 is 4. So we have creation. So for this 22, you got your 2 and your 2, and I asked you to think of 2 things that you want to work on and perfect, because that's about choice. And today I want you to choose twice, and I want you to choose you twice. When you choose yourself twice, that will give you a 4, and that will give you creativity, or as I say, I am a noun, I am a creator. So, and I say I am a creative also as a noun. So we're 2 things that we're just applauding God for this circle of 10. 2 things that we're applauding ourselves and self-awareness of in our 2 tenths, and in the middle, 2 things that we really want to perfect while we're on this next cycle. And we want to choose 2 things because 22 is a double digit, and it being a double digit means I can choose twice and choose wisely twice. And once I choose those 2 things, when I put them together, they ignite me as a creative. And so now I can do more than I had even imagined. I can begin new. I now have these choices that I've made on what I'm going to work on no matter what. And now I can springboard into my new beginning, which eventually is going to get our 86,400 seconds all the way back to me seeing you tomorrow, which will be today. So it's very important for you to get more fluid in the way you think about your life, because you will be less stuck. You won't get stuck as much in places that feel like they are quicksand on steroids. We're going to get unstuck from those places, one, by using the manna as a medicinal meat. We're not just eating anything. This ain't no junk food, junkie sandwich show. We are really building our spiritual maturity muscle during this particular time of the 8th month in an 8 year, and all 31 days in between. And then when we go in September again, I'm going to tell you some other things, because it's still going to be year one, and we're going to get into some other cool things, including the Hebrew calendar and some other things. So we'll be building on. One, I hope that we have enough to really start talking about your increased improvement as a sandwich maker, because I think that you're improving on what you're spreading on both sides of your bread and what you're putting in the middle. I think you're becoming a healthier person, because we're starting with mastication with our teeth and chewing, and then we're starting to ingest before we digest, so we don't have indigestion. In the spiritual, so we definitely are doing it in the natural, because you're putting your body under subjection. So your body got to do what you tell it to do, even though it takes a long time for you to realize that your internal eternal is more powerful than your external temporal. In fact, the external temporal is supposed to always be bound down to the internal eternal. So make sure you're holding on to the internal eternal. There were a couple of things that, because we didn't, and again, I don't even know why we had all these upload issues, but 21 facts about 21. I'm not going to give you all of them, because you can go look at them. I'm going to pick out just a couple. Yesterday I went through the exhaustive list, and the video ain't there. So some important things are, when are you grown? If you ask somebody 18 when they're grown, you ask somebody 21 when they're grown. The purest answer you get is when you ask a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old. A 17-year-old, from the day that he or she turns 17, is, and I'll be 18 in. Well, I'm almost 18. A 20-year-old, how old are you? Well, I'm about to be 21, even if it's the day after their birthday. Why? Because there's a sense of maturity. There's a sense of completion. There's a sense of responsibility. And 21 really gets to be that high end of those numbers around most of the world. We know that in the United States, when you reach age 21, you're legally allowed to purchase and consume alcohol. And ironically, you can go to war and vote at the age of 18, but you can't drink until you're 21. Unlike the rest of the 50 states in the United States, you cannot purchase tobacco products in California, Hawaii, or New Jersey until you're 21. At age 21 in the UK, you're allowed to accompany a driver who is on their learning driver's permit, and you can provide them a full driving license experience, and you do it for 3 whole years. If you're in the United States, you're only allowed to buy more than one. You're only allowed to buy more than one ticket to an R-rated movie once you reach the age 21. Why? We have no idea. Before the rules changed in 2011, 21 was the amount of posts required to win a game of table tennis. 21st Amendment of the United States Constitution actually negated the effects of the 18th Amendment, which was originally put in place to prohibit alcohol on a national scale. I always like to tell you all about the scientific number. 21 is the atomic number of the chemical element scandium, which was discovered in 1879. It's classified as a rare earth element. Rare earth element. This is the periodic table. Scandium. 21 is the 8th number in the Fibonacci sequence, preceded by 13 and then followed by 34. During the First World War, the Japanese Empire sent a list of 21 demands to the Chinese government that, if they were met, then that would be the barter agreement, the consideration in order to control the region of Manchuria, and they were opposed by the UK as well as the USA. There are 21 shillings and a guinea, a form of currency used by Great Britain from 1963 all the way into 1816, and then they reported by the pound. There are many other things listed regarding 21, but because I also need to do 22 real quick, then we're gonna. It was such a good post too that I did yesterday, and in talking about 21, because I took my time and gave you some info, but nothing that you can't find yourself if you're looking. I tell you, it's just like I am all the time, and you can get on here. Okay, air ore. It's an air ore. Let me see. Effects site. Okay. Just trying to see if it will indeed let me do 22. Let's see. All right. Well, I just had to go to the Bible because I can't get what I wanted to do on my fun facts on 22. I'll see if I can pull it up on a different site. But I am being mindful of time as well. So, fun facts regarding 22. 22. A big deal here that I'm saying is the phrase catch 22 comes from the 1961 novel of the same name by author Joseph Heitler. The 22 James Bond movie is Daniel Craig's second Bond appearance, and it's the shortest Bond film in the entire run of Bond. In the 22nd Summer Olympics, it was held in 1980, previously Soviet Union, Moscow. This time it was Russia, and they did have 203 events with 5,179 athletes in total. 22 feet is the length of a regulation shuffleboard, a popular pastime for many, and the course of more fights than you would expect. 22 is the title of a track for many artists, including Taylor Swift, Lily Allen, Bon Iver, Def Havana, and Jay-Z, whether as a full name or part of the name of a track. There are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, and during creation, God created 22 things. So that's a good one to consider. And the 22nd Amendment was passed in 1947, limiting the time for a presidential term. If issued before 1933, would have stopped F.D. Roosevelt from serving his famous 4 terms. So we are right in an election year, and it's good to kind of know those kinds of things. The 22nd state in the United States was actually Alabama. They joined 32 years after the first state, Delaware. The atomic number of titanium is 22. So I have to go down and make sure we have that. So it's titanium. The average person takes 11 seconds to count to 22. So it takes about half the time to count to 22 if you're counting. That's something that you could be looking at and playing with some of your family and friends. Blockbuster 21 Jump Street was actually filmed on a real campus. It was really filmed on Tulane University. Don't know if you knew that. JFK was assassinated November 22nd, 1963, and he was the 35th president, and he was shot at the age of 46. $1 million and $100 bills would weigh about 22 pounds. And 22 minutes is the actual runtime length of a 30-minute TV show when you give consideration to the commercials. On February 22nd, 1922, the date was 2/22/22. And Ulysses by James Joyce was published in Paris on February 22nd, 1922, with the date being 2/22/22. So those are some of the things that show you how excited people get about the numbers, similar to what we're doing, 8, 8, and 8. So let me give you a couple Bible facts regarding 22. Actually, 21 and 22, because I did provide you some good biblical 21s that I don't just want to eliminate, that I won't remember if I'm not looking at. Number 21 in the Bible. Actually, this was the one reference that I didn't like, so let me go back one. He had some good stuff in there, just wasn't the best of the best. So 21 important things about 21 in the Bible. It gives us a little easier. I can do it boom, boom, boom. So 21 21s in the Bible. I already said that 21, the atomic number of scandium, rare earth element, total of 21 spots on a standard die. I did have that in the previous recording. And there are 21 shillings in a guinea, which we did report, which is now a pound. Now, is 21 a good word or a bad word? Yeah, it depends on who you look at, but that we found that as well, whether it's 11, whether it's 22. That's why we look for the divine, simply factual. When if the Bible, and I believe that it does confirm itself, then we are in a situation where we allow the Bible to educate us about the Bible. And when I say that, I'm talking about original text, digging and searching. When I told the Lord I'd read from Genesis to Revelation, it was boohooing like I had like 55 cows going north, and he told me, but you haven't stopped and read the book of Zoe. And I done read everything, God. I done read all your books and verses. I know. I done quoted. And then about, halfway through my snot, then I said, well, where's the book of Zoe anyway? And the Lord spoke to me and he said, I am Zoe. I am the living word. And every time you read me, I will reveal to you what you need to see at that time. Allow my word to be alive. So let me tell you, that was one of the happiest shouting days. Wasn't nobody in church with me, and I just ran around and shouted and cried some more and cried and shouted some more, because it's how do you look at it? And the way we look at things often limit our ability to see. In 2 Timothy 3, Apostle Paul lists 21 sins that human will fall prey to during the end days. Lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure, rejected the love of God, pretend to be godly, deny the power thereof of God. So that's a lot of, a lot of negative things. But also, it has been recorded that the number 21 only appears 7 times in the Bible. But most of those, this person is saying, has been able to identify. 2 Kings 24:18, Zedekiah was 21 when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years, and his mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah, and she was from Libnah. So other places where 21 biblically relevant, I'm scanning through this one, what we do know that 7 is a period. 21 is a period of 3 sevens, and I don't want to lose that, because 21 is very critical to representing rest. We know the 7th is the day that God rested in a divine, perfect time. You not only have 7 threes of Trinity, but you have 3 sevens of rest and complete. So 21 really does allow you a space, allows us a space to rest. And we have to be willing to rest. In that, we got to lean into that 7 and be willing to rest before we launch into the 22, because we're excited about the 21. So remember, it is a number of rest. 21, once the dough is made for unleavened bread, takes 21 days for it to become unleavened bread. The numbers 16, 2,000, 5,000, and 20,000 are listed in the Bible 21 times each. Other words that appear 21 times: frankincense, the Father, James the Great, James the Less, flood, star, capacity. It's quite interesting when we can see these as aspects of 21 in the Bible. We just often look at 21 as a time of maturation, a time of completion, and it is, but it's so much more than that. It is a time when we have the opportunity to remake ourselves. If it is true that now we're not dependent upon a loved one's determination of us, then we should be able to be whatever we want to be, because we're grown now. And if you don't like how you were born, great time to get born again. So I hope that you will give consideration to that as you look at 21. Lastly, just so I can give you some fun facts on 22, so tomorrow we'll be caught up, because I know you're making a sandwich. Thank you, Lord, for 2 things before I jump into this new beginning. Thank you, self, because you've done a good job patting yourself on the back on these 2 things that you've completed in this cycle. And wow, here are the 2 things in the middle that are my manna, my meat, my medicinal meal. I am going to take on these 2 things so that my next 21-day cycle, even though it won't be in August, I'm still going to be working on these 2 things. And that's separate and distinct from whatever the sandwich is that Dr. Bauer say we're doing tomorrow. So, the meaning of 22 in the Bible. Couple of things. It is used for 22, 25 times in 25 verses. When 22, which is double 11, 11 focuses on disorder and chaos. So this could be a concentration of disorder and chaos, or one of calm. Talked about the Hebrew alphabet. The word light is found 264 times in the Bible. When 264 is divided by 12, divine authority, then we end up with 22, which represents light. So 22 focuses on light. Many of us are dealing with authority, regal royalness, and having to let our light shine. And it doesn't get easy, but it is doable because it is divine. Light is used 22 times in the Gospel of John. The 22nd time John uses the word, he quotes Jesus, "I have come as a light unto the world." John 12:46, Christians are to walk in the light of Christ. John 3:21, and the light of the world. And we know that he became flesh and dwelt among us. Book 22, written and included in the New Testament in chronological order, would be the book of 3rd John. John wrote this book to his friends and his fellow elder, Gaius. Jair, one of the judges of Israel, served for 22 years, 1079 to 1057 BC. Jesus is recorded in the Bible quoting from 22 Old Testament books. The Hebrew word Isabel, concordance number H347, occurs 22 times in Hebrew Old Testament verses, and the word is recorded 15 times in 1 Kings, 7 times in 2 Kings. King James Version translates this word as Jezebel, the evil wife of Israel's king Ahab. we've covered much of this. There's a whole bunch. Well, when we think about the crucifixion around 3 p.m. on Passover, just before dying for the sins of all mankind, Christ quoted the first psalm of Psalm 22, written by King David. The part of the psalm he quoted, usually liking a mix of the Hebrew and Syriac languages, was Eloi, Eloi. And we know that means Father, Father, lama sabachthani, why hast thou forsaken me? And the Father having to turn from the Son because he couldn't look at him while he had on sin. But thank God that we serve a nevertheless God. There are 68 whole words and phrases in the Bible of original language that are recorded exactly 22 times. 22 is equal to 2 times 11. Both of those are prime numbers. There are 22 bones in the human skulls. You know I got to get the science in there somewhere, the anatomy. The Greek word Macedonia, Strong's number G3109, is recorded 22 times in Greek New Testament verses. It is used the most in the book of Acts, where it's found 8 times, followed by 2 Corinthians 6, then by 1 Thessalonians 3, translated in the King James as Macedonia, which was the name of the first church Roman province that was located in the northern part of Greece. 22, this opportunity to be twice as nice, to be double better, to not be divided, but rather to be united. 22, that number that without deniability contends with royalty and leadership. It is a number of contention because it's double digits. It's 2. And there's only one number that gets more powerful than 1, and that's 2. Because now we are getting in this decisional tree. So today, I know we're kind of at the end of day 22, but just reflect and ask yourself, have you felt kind of conflicted today? Have you been changing your mind a lot? Have you been unsure of yourself? That can be these double 2s fighting each other, and you just need to pause, give God some glory, go read a book and a chapter that has 22 chapters, 22 verses, but go lean into the unity of the twain versus the disunity of the 4, because the 4 is a creative, and 2 is not only dichotomy, it's twain, and twain function as one. Dichotomies oppose, paradoxals oppose, but twain knows how to be 2 and work 1. So make sure that you're focusing on your unity, that you're focusing on your strength, that you're focusing on your regal royalness. And it's already almost 35 minutes, but I covered 21 and 22, and I'm going to post it so we can be back on post tomorrow. And if I'm not walking around, then you'll see me here. I did, however, get some really cool pictures of the sun and the moon today because they're both out. They were both out at the same time, so I'll post a couple of those as well. God bless you. I love you. We getting through here. Record your sandwiches. We got a cookbook to make. It's me, your coach, colleague, your friend, your queen, your collaborator, Dr. Brenda Bowers. Pray for me. Agape and Shalom.